let us talk a little bit about bodily resurrection. Bodily resurrection is one of the key ideas of Christianity. It is also part of the apocalypse. In fact, Christianity may be called a religion of four major concepts. The concept of the original sin, the concept of the Trinity, the concept of bodily resurrection, and the concept of heaven and hell. When you want to compare Christianity to some other Christian sects or to other religions, the best way to do it is to look at these four concepts: original sin, Trinity, resurrection, and heaven and hell, and see how they differ or how they are similar. So bodily resurrection from the beginning was one of the key Christian concepts because of the Christian belief that Jesus was resurrected on the third day. The Christian idea of bodily resurrection is different from the Indian idea of reincarnation and from the ancient Greek idea of immortality of the soul. What does reincarnation mean? Reincarnation means that your soul and your body are two different entities, that when you are embodied in your present physical body, you forget your true spiritual identity. You develop your psychophysiological identity, what you think of yourself, your I. But your I is different from your deep spiritual and metaphysical identity. So when a person dies, a person's soul or spirit, or Hindus would say Atman, the ultimate self, leaves the body. The body is being decomposed by your ultimate self, which is now remembers itself, goes through the cycle of reincarnation and is embodied into another body. And when yourself is embodied into another body, it again forgets its own true identity, and you think of yourself as being a different person. Not completely. According to Hindus and according to Buddhists, let me say it differently. All those religions, Judaism, let's say Hinduism, Buddhism, no, not Buddhism. Let's say Judaism, Hinduism, to a certain degree Christianity, and classical Greek philosophy, the philosophy of Plato, for example, and Socrates. All those philosophies and religions would agree on the belief that a human being is not limited to his or her body, that there is something that is not bodily in us. Some call it the soul, others call it the spirit, yet others call it the self, or Hindus call it the Atman. But no matter how you call it, it's the same idea. So Hindus and Buddhists believe that when we die, there's something leaves the body and goes into another body. That's why it is called reincarnation. And we have thousands of lives ahead of us, behind us, and ahead of us. Now, Plato, Socrates, and philosophers who follow them also believe that we have the soul. The soul is different from the body. And when we die, the soul leaves the body. But unlike Hindus, Platonists believe that the soul would never be incarnated into another body, that it will continue its journey or its growth on the spiritual level, moving forward. And they also believe that the soul would lead a purely spiritual existence. Now, Christians believed, and I'm talking about classical Christianity, that when we die, our soul it would be separated from the body, but it would not move on to live the spiritual existence, and it would not move on to be embodied into another physical organism. Instead, eventually it would be resurrected. And what is the difference between resurrection and reincarnation? Reincarnation is when the soul enters another body. Resurrection is when the soul is given the same body that it left. Are you with me? The same body. So the soul will be re-given its existence along with the same body. Now, pagan philosophers ridiculed this idea. They said that this never happened. This could not happen because the body is decomposing and it's impossible to reconstruct it. They would say that it is not useful to have another body. Why to go through the same existence again? So they ridiculed Christians, and Christians had to create some arguments in favor of the bodily resurrection, and they did. One of the arguments was that, well, we believe in the God who is all-powerful, and if God is all-powerful, he can do whatever he wants. So yes, there was no one, maybe, who was resurrected, but it doesn't mean that God cannot do it, number one. Number two, we Christians believe that Jesus was resurrected. So there was at least one resurrection, and therefore there can be others. This was the second argument. The third argument was that look at nature, look at the butterfly. The butterfly goes through various stages of its development, and each stage would negate the previous stage. And it may look like the resurrection in nature. So if the resurrection in nature is possible, why is it not possible among humans? Etc. So the early Christians believed in resurrection, bodily resurrection, and it was different from the belief in the immortality of the soul or in reincarnation. Now let me ask you, how many of us believe in the reincarnation? Okay, 2 people, kind of. Yeah, for me it is a very disturbing concept because I don't want to come back here. One time is enough. Enough. So how many of you believe in spiritual immortality? Spiritual immortality? Life after death. Life after death. Okay.
Is that the one where you like spiritually move up a level?
Yeah. Life after death. Okay. Not many. What about bodily resurrection? Bodily resurrection. There are many problems with bodily resurrection, classically understood. For example, we know now from science that our body is being recycled every 7 years. Every 7 years, we have a totally different body. Do you know that? So you can eat as many hamburgers as you want. In 7 years, you have no hamburgers in your body. But what does this mean? It means that we're constantly changing our bodies. So when we are resurrected, what kind of body are we going to get? Here is another problem that was heavily discussed in the Middle Ages. It was called the problem of the cannibals. If one person eats another person, I'm sorry to say it, and the body or some parts of the body of the second person become parts of the body of the first person. When both are resurrected, how will they deal with their bodies? It's kind of a joke, but was taken seriously by people who seriously believe in bodily resurrection. So what about the rest of you? What about the rest of you? What did you believe? We are dying and that's it? Don't you think that it sucks?